A little fun take for you. If you are happy with the majority of your dry fire training, you are probably doing it wrong. I will explain. In my training throughout the years, up till today, I'm probably only legitimately happy with 10% of the reps I do. All the rest of them, that 90%, I'm always nitpicking myself about one little thing or multiple little things I wish could be better. Maybe everything is very, very good. Maybe it would be better than my peers. Maybe it'd be good enough to win a match or a stage or get a token for some shooting challenge. Anything like that. Maybe it would be good enough, but I always want it to be better. Examples. I didn't quite have my hand on the exact spot I wanted it to have. The sight didn't stop dead in the center. It was close, but it was off the side a little bit. It didn't go exactly where I wanted it to go. My sight went to the wrong spot and I had to correct it, even if it was just a little bit. I felt my firing hand was a little too tight. I think my support hand should have been clamped on the gun harder than it was. I feel like I didn't draw to the right grip. Then I had to change my grip. Any of those types of things. The list goes on and on. My feet could have been wider. My knees should have been bent. All this kind of stuff. So, if you are genuinely happy with the majority of your dry fire, you aren't getting the most out of it, and you're probably doing it wrong. If there is such a thing, which I'll take a hard stance and say there is. So, for your dry fire training, a little bit of, I won't call it self-hatred, but a little bit of nitpicking yourself, being annoyed with the small things you do, really expecting perfection out of you. And this is the same for for people familiar with like the USPSA system, being a C class or a B class shooter, you could still expect perfection out of yourself, even if you aren't at a level yet where that's actually obtainable. The goal is you just know it could be better or there's something you want to continue to improve on. If you continue to work on those little things and they annoy you, I mean legitimately annoy you, you'll go to the effort to fix them or change the habits you have. If you accept that it's not going to be quite perfect, there are always going to be things you want to work on. It's pretty good. It could be better, but it could be worse. That's kind of the, what would be like, good is the enemy of great, some kind of motivational speaking, but it's actually true. So the more those little nitpicky things annoy you, the more you expect perfection of yourself, the more you're annoyed where the sight goes pretty close to the target, but you just have to make a little correction, or you looked at your sight just a little bit, but you wish you didn't. The more you nitpick yourself, those little things, continue to work on it, try to get better at it, even if you can't fix it in that moment, a lot better off you will be. So, in closing, nitpicking yourself, being high maintenance and training is the way you should be. And if you're having an issue in your live fire training, you should be seeing that same issue in your dry fire training, at least initially, until you improve it. Example, there's a drill we like called trigger control at speed. So you have your sight on the target and your fingers not contacting, I don't have a gun handy, your fingers not contacting the trigger. When you hear the beep, mash to the trigger immediately without pulling your hand or flexing it at all. If you do this in live fire or you just notice when you're shooting, you're pushing shots low left for a right-handed shooter. When you start off doing that drill, you should be recreating the same issues. Because I've seen on the range or in classes where sometimes people don't, it looks pretty good in dry fire training. It's like, hey, this is a timed event. Try to do this with some sense of urgency. Start getting on the little, hey, faster, faster, faster. All of a sudden, that issue comes out where they start pushing on the gun. Perfect. Keep that pace, that expectations, then just work on within that maximum attack. Work on putting your focus on your firing hand. Think just press the trigger with only your trigger finger. Don't clamp down your hand. Don't try to push into it. Don't try to induce, like, people like the pinky pressure kind of thing or some amount of like making your hand flex. None of that. I'm like, hey, just hold the gun perfectly still. Don't flex your hand. When it's time to press the trigger, just press the trigger with only moving your trigger finger, nothing else. And that's good. So anyway, that's how you recreate that specific issue in dry fire. If you're on the range and you muscle the gun really hard, so you shove the gun at the target, when it stops, it bounces around really hard, you should be maximum attacking dry fire. So at least initially, you see the sight doing that same thing where it comes to a stop, or you shove the gun really hard, it goes past the target, you have to bring it back, whatever. But initially, you should be seeing all these same faults in dry fire that you can continue to work through, because your dry fire training needs to be maximum attack, just trying to recreate the same issues, the same sense of urgency, same speed that you would have with your shooting live ammo. Otherwise, of course, you can back off the gas a little bit, be more relaxed, take it easy, and not have the issues. But if you're in competition, training, trying to impress somebody, trying to feed the gram, or using a gun for real life, you're probably not going to be backing off the pace a little bit. You're going to want to train at the speed that you actually want to perform at. So that's it. If you are assessing your dry fire as good and proper most of the time, you're probably missing the boat. Recreate the issues in dry fire that you see in live fire. Continue to nitpick all those little things that annoy you that you wish was just a little bit better. If it annoys you enough and you keep focusing on it, working on it, eventually those habits will go away. You'll change your behaviors into something hopefully you want. Then you can just find some other little thing to nitpick on and keep working on that until it gets where you want, and the destination without a journey or an endpoint. So not much for motivational speakers, but that's a good way to get better. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Gives you some things to think about. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff if you want. If you don't, I don't care. That's cool too. And if you have any questions or follow-ups, feel free to drop them down below. I do read through most of the comments, or as many as I can, and I'm sure there's sometimes I miss stuff, but I try to reply to everybody. And if there's something you want answered or a question you have, drop it below and I'll get it answered for you.